What's up guys, Matt back again with another tier list video, and I of course am joined by my good friend Brian, aka Tatted Charizard. Brian, say hello to the people. Brian? You know, he did mention that he had to fight an Elden Ring boss in real life, but I'm sure he's fine. If anything, I'll bring him back with the Dragon Balls. But yeah, guys, we're back with another tier list video. Because Brian's dead right now, I'm going to have to do this on my own. So it'll be a little bit different than the usual format. Probably be a little more fast-paced, less comedic punchlines than usual. Yeah, I know you guys were curious as to what I thought this entire set would look like. So let's just pop me up on the screen now. Hopefully the formatting now looks good. I'm trying something new. But before we dive into the tier list, guys, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell notification. That way you get notified whenever I make a brand new video. Like this video if you enjoy it. And of course, comment your thoughts down below in the comment section at the end of this tier list so I can hear what you think your best to worst figure is in the Dragon Ball versus Omnibus Ultra Ichiban Kuji. Let me know how you like this format. Let me know if the audio and the camera looks good, and just trying something different with how I have this set up. So if I look up there, it's because I'm so used to looking at the camera up there. But anyways, let's get into this thing. Starting with 8th place. I'll go through, obviously, from bottom to top, my thoughts on this Ichiban Kuji, and I'll do a brief explanation on each figure and why I think they deserve to be in that place. If you want a full review of the figure, obviously, just go watch the review video. I'll put a card up above. You can watch that in the playlist after you're done with this video. All right, so 8th place. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody, but I have Super Saiyan Trunks in 8th place. The reason I have him there, it's mostly because of his likeness. A lot of people have been saying the Master Stars piece Trunks is the better version of this figure. Honestly, I think both suffer from a lot of the same issues. It really just depends on which one you prefer, because I feel like they're both about equal. They both have a lot of similar issues and a couple different issues. For example, I prefer the color of the hair for this Trunks figure, but I prefer the mold or sculpt of the Master Stars piece Trunks hair figure. But we're not going to spend the whole time talking about Trunks, comparing him to the Master Stars piece. Let's look at him as a solo Ichiban Kuji figure, right? He looks pretty good. The accuracy is very good. I think the biggest issue is his hair is too small. His face is kind of not good. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's just very like they didn't really do a good job making his face. And personally, I think when you mess up a figure's likeness, then the whole figure is probably going to get messed up. But I still like the color of his hair. I think the actual structure of the figure is fine. It's an iconic moment. And personally, I could use another Trunks figure. In fact, I have this one on my Dragon Ball Z movie shelf because Trunks shows up like this in Super Android 13. So there's plenty to like about the figure. It's just way worse than the rest in this set. So that's why Trunks is in last place. Next, I'm going to put Piccolo. So this is our first potential Unleashed Piccolo figure. They did change more about it than I anticipated. Let me just grab some coffee. Yeah, but they did change a lot more about this figure than I anticipated. Pretty much the entire upper sculpt is different. They kind of because he's still basically in the same exact pose as the Dragon Ball superhero Kuji Piccolo, but obviously the leg mold and a lot of this has been recycled, which you're gonna hear me say a lot for the next couple places. But yeah, a lot of this has been recycled. They did make his torso just a little beefier because he gets bigger and beefier in his potential Unleashed / Ultimate Piccolo form. you can see like there's a deviation on his head where they just basically changed out the bottom part of his face and put a different one in there. You can also see that, you know, it's just largely the same. If you put it next to the superhero one, they're basically the same. They just repainted it, made him a little bigger, and then that's it. So other than that, you know, I just think that's lazy. I don't like it when we're recycling stuff. I know that gives people who never got one of the other figures or whatever, they're not like me who collect almost everything. But that being said, for us who do collect everything and pay attention to that stuff, it's kind of a downer, especially because it's been so recent. We're getting like the three of the same Piccolo figures within a year of each other. So it just comes off as lazy, and it's not as special as some of the other ones. Sixth place, I'm going to put Super Saiyan Gohan. So same argument here, right? Literally the same mold, sculpt, everything as the Ultimate Gohan from the superhero Kuji. They changed the shading on his skin, and of course his head sculpt is different because he's a Super Saiyan. And they changed his arms so that they're not just to his side, they're bent forward because he's like powering up or something. But it's a little bit more than I guess what they did with Piccolo to a certain degree, but it's still the same thought. The only reason I have him above Piccolo is because I think the figure looks better, frankly. I like the way that this figure looks. I think it looks pretty cool on my superhero shelf. And I like Gohan better as a character than Piccolo. But yeah, I mean, they could go either way. But they both just have the same issues. While the figure on its own, individually, is a good pickup, that's why they're like 6 out of 7s. They're still lazy resculpts of very recent figures that came out this same year. If it was something from a while ago, I wouldn't be as harsh on it, but it's within the same year, so that's why they're there. Fifth place. All right, now we're gonna start getting kind of interesting here. Fifth place. Super Saiyan Yardrat Goku. Now, this turned out a lot better than I thought it would be. I like this figure. We had the Dragon Ball Legends figure that came out, 2 years ago maybe, which I really liked that one, but I prefer Master Release figures, and I think this one does more right than the Dragon Ball Legends one. So the Dragon Ball Legends one, now that I have the Master Release to compare them, its proportions are really weird. Like his legs are too long and his torso is too short. But I do like the hair mold on that thing. I like the finger, the iconic finger before he fights Trunks. But even though this one isn't doing the iconic finger thing, which I think would have made this better, it still looks better in almost every way. I think the likeness is better. I think its proportions are much better. They got the color of his pants correct. The whole figure just looks a lot better. I think the only area that I dislike is how they made his hair. I think his hair would have been better if it was just that solid, like, just like the Dragon Ball Legends figure. If it was just a solid yellow, then it would be perfect. Otherwise, I still think it's great. It's a nice Yardrat Goku figure. If you're into Goku when he was a Super Saiyan, when he was in this outfit, totally worth the pickup. So that's how I kind of feel about that. Now, I will be putting his base form right above him. No surprise here. So this thing, this was the biggest surprise out of the whole set for me, I think. I knew the top 3 would be the top 3 when they announced this. However, man, base form Goku is really cool as a Yardrat. I do think they should have just made this one figure between him and the Super Saiyan. It literally should have just been 3 different heads, some different removable arms, and because they've done that. They did that with the Battle of Z Legend with Dragon Ball Legends or something, that Ichiban Kuji with Shallot, with Majin Vegeta, and there was a Super Saiyan Goku, an E-moving one with 4 different arms, 3 different heads, and one of them was a base form head. So there's literally no reason they couldn't do that with this. They just, I don't know, it's just not as inspired. That's the one thing about this Kuji, is that it's like almost great. It's almost great. Just like, well, pun intended, because the next Kuji's Omnibus great. But yeah, I like this figure a lot. The likeness on it is superb. The little added notion that he can grab his glasses if you want to switch out that head, which is how I have him displayed on the Android shelf. Because, I mean, how else are you going to display Goku who comes with Roshi glasses? You got to put him with the Roshi glasses. But obviously, he's way better than the Super Saiyan 1. I think even people who prefer Super Saiyan Goku to his base form can just kind of see that, like, yeah, they nailed this one. Because he has everything that's good about the Super Saiyan form, except his likeness is better and the hair mold is better. Plus, he comes with, you know, shades, interchangeable heads. So I think that's really cool. Next time, Bandai, I really just hope that you don't split this up into 2 figures within the same Kuji set. That's really annoying. It's way easier if you just had 1 figure. So, all right, top 3. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place the 3rd one. Then I'm going to talk about the top 2 before I place them. So that way I can get some thoughts out there and keep you guys in suspense for fun. Number 3 is Majin Vegeta. Now, some people might put this at number 1, and the reason they put it up there is because they don't care that he's essentially a recycled figure from an Ichiban Kuji from a few years ago. And that's why I don't have him as low as someone like Gohan and Piccolo. He obviously is reusing the Majin Vegeta from the Ichiban Kuji where he was an E-moving. Some people prefer that figure. Honestly, I think they're pretty much the same. There's very little. The differences between them are not like, it's not negatives with this figure. It's just different. Like, he's in a different pose, and his face he's looking a different way. So people are like, oh, the likeness is worse. I'm like, it's the same. It's just different. It's just a different likeness. So there's zero wrong with this figure. The only thing that I dislike about it is that they reused a lot of assets from the Majin Vegeta, and I have that figure. But, you know, I love Majin Vegeta. I can understand how great this figure is, and I can understand that some people didn't even buy the E-moving, and they can't because it's like $300 to go buy it brand new. It's absurd. So this is a great opportunity for people to get this. There's nothing wrong with this figure. I like it a lot, but just because I know that the E-moving exists and that I have it, it makes it not as special to me. So that's why it's only 3rd place, whereas the next 2 figures are completely unique, fan favorites, definitely desired by a lot of people. So let's talk about those. First, let's talk about Cell. Cell is spectacular. I think the matte finish that they gave for his paint is really cool as opposed to the more glossy, colorful way that they made Perfect Cell. I think that's just a great way to have them like so different from each other, which is, I mean, how they are in the manga and the anime. They're very different shades of green. And they feel like, I almost feel like 2 different characters, his voice and everything. I mean, in the anime in Japan, his voice stays the same. But I mean, anyways, it's a great figure. Tall, big, heavy, great details. So great. There's so much to love about Cell. And even if you're not a Cell fan and you love collecting, this is it's a great piece to have. It's a great piece to have in your collection. Highly recommend it. It's a wonderful figure. And then Majin Buu. Man, oh man, Majin Buu, they finally did it. And when I took this thing out of the box, wow, he was big. Way bigger than I thought he'd be. Totally did not expect that. And he has a lot of the details that you should expect from a Last One prize. It does suck that he is a Last One prize and he's not coming out overseas. So if you do want to get this, it's going to cost you, you know, probably a couple $100. But I think it's worth it. I mean, look at that guy back there. You probably can't see it in the shop right now, but man, he's just a beauty. So yeah, really glad that even though this omnibus had a lot of mid recycled figures, we still got these 2. So without further ado, let's place them. Drum roll, please. Boom. Now that there's a tier list. So yeah, the only reason Cell is in second place is because, and it lives up to his name. He's imperfect. He's like almost perfect. His crown / horns, they're a little too small. His wings are a little too small, and they made his eyes white, which they've never been white. They've either been like pink or like blue in the manga. They've never been white. So I don't know why they decided to paint his eyes white. I don't know if that was a mistake. I don't know if maybe I'm confused with something and they should be white. But as far as I know, Cell's never had white eyes unless he's, evolving. So it's just little things with Cell that makes him a little bit worse. I love the figure. I think it's a fantastic figure. It's worth your money. But it's just the little things that make him like not quite perfect, like just right there. Whereas Majin Buu, everything about him is perfect. The size, the weight, the colors, his face, the details, just a wonderful figure. And if you love Majin Buu like me, it's a no-brainer. He's the best one in the set. So this is my tier list for Omnibus Ultra, guys. I hope this makes sense. As for the Kuji itself, I'm going to give the Kuji, and in the spirit of Brian, who's a little more critical of this stuff than I am, I'm going to give this a 5 out of 7. The reason I'm giving this a 5 out of 7 is because there's a lot of reused assets here, man. Like, so many reused sculpts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. More than half of this thing is recycled assets and sculpts in some shape or form, and it's just a little disappointing. However, it did deliver a Buu and Cell that are amazing, and it gives people an opportunity to get a really great Majin Vegeta figure who missed out on the e-moving when it came out in like 2018, 2019. So that's my tier list. 5 out of 7 for the set. Just short of greatness, I think. A couple tweaks and a couple of replacements here and there, I think it would have been a much better set. But I'm still happy with it. But please let me know in the comments, guys, what you think of this tier list. Would love to discuss this with you guys. And until the next video, I will see you later. Peace.